moving on to long ball number 2 here for Friday. Open Cup getting a little boring. The Pittsburgh Riverhounds, the last non-MLS team involved in the U.S. Open Cup 2025. So the quarterfinalists, the matchups are Minnesota versus Chicago Fire, San Jose Earthquakes versus Austin, Philadelphia Union versus the Red Bulls, and Nashville versus DC United, to be played on July 8th and 9th. Can you dig into these matchups and find anything interesting, or is the interest level lost now that the interleague matchups are no longer with us?
Oh man, I think it kind of looks boring. I think I hate to say that. I mean, I guess maybe I'm not giving enough credit to the history of some of these teams in the competition, right? DC United traditionally, the last time they won was 2013, which, by the way, they finished dead last in Major League Soccer. I think the worst season in MLS history to that point, and I don't know that anybody's had a worse season since. So they have a history in this competition, and they get Nashville. Chicago obviously has a proud history in this competition, and I do think it seems as though, although they did roll out a couple of reserves and they didn't play every starter against New England in the last round in Providence, it does feel like Greg Berhalter wants to win this thing, that this is a priority for the Fire. Maybe that's the logic being we've got to learn how to win things again, like as a culturally within the club. It'd be good if the Fire could put a piece of silverware in the trophy case. And obviously this buys you entry into the CONCACAF Champions Cup, which is not nothing. So there's that. I think it's interesting. I saw some comments from Bruce Arena. When he was with the Galaxy, he didn't care about the Open Cup. He gave 0 Fs about the Open Cup. Am I cursing on this show? I don't know where we are on cursing on Morning Kick Around. Anyway, cover your ears, kids. Earmuffs. He did not even travel a couple of times to play, I think what was at the time the North Carolina Railhawks in the Open Cup. And it was like this incredibly like disrespectful thing that Bruce did. And then his team would lose and he'd be like, whatever, I don't care. And this week, with the Quakes into the quarterfinals of this competition, he said, when I was the Galaxy coach, the Open Cup didn't matter to me because our goal was always to win the MLS Cup title. Like that, we were supposed to be champions of the league. That was the standard with the LA Galaxy. The Quakes don't have that standard. And so for him, he's like, I've readjusted my viewpoint on this tournament because we're not MLS Cup champion quality, MLS Cup champion quality team in San Jose right now. He basically said, we're not good enough to win MLS Cup, so why wouldn't we go after the Open Cup? Which is, I think, makes sense. You know, you think about a Crystal Palace winning the FA Cup this year, Rob. They were never going to be in the hunt for anything in the Premier League. They were not going to win the league. They were not going to be a Champions League team. They were not going to be a Europa League team. This is what they had. And they went and they won it, and good for them. And that's kind of where Bruce is positioning the Quakes, which is funny in a parity type of league like Major League Soccer where 9 teams will make the playoffs.
Some comments coming in. Nicholas Murray saying, I think it's interesting because this is the only chance to win their team. A la Crystal Palace most years. Mike Thomas, he thinks that Union will lose their 4th Open Cup final. Always chasing, never reaching. So that's a similar thing to Crystal Palace as well. But yeah, how many of these teams have a realistic shot at winning the league, though? I mean,
Philly looks really good. Philly looks really good in the Eastern Conference right now. I mean, I don't know that they're seeing this as a distraction. Probably not. I mean, I think they've managed this fairly well. Obviously, getting Pittsburgh, no offense to the Riverhounds, who we were certainly rooting for, but getting Pittsburgh in the round of 16 was a nice draw for them. Like a good draw for them because it allowed them to kind of handle their business at home against the lower division side before they go into this game against New York, who hasn't looked great this season in MLS. I mean, I think Minnesota's got aspirations of things. Chicago's a work in progress. They want to go win it. We talked about Bruce and his attitude with the Quakes. Austin's got a new head coach, and they've done some decent things. And, I don't know. It'd just be nice to win something, I think, for a fairly young club. I think the same probably goes for Nashville. I mentioned DC United. Troy Lesesne might be coaching for his job in the league, right? That's probably the most desperate team out of all of these in terms of their league position and needing this to bring some good vibes is DC United.
Indeed, this quarterfinals, as you can see on the screen, July 8th and 9th, we'll see who is the 2025 Open Cup semifinalists after that round.